Let's talk about a poll that has come out here, and it was done by the Energy Consumers Australia. I've never heard of the organisation before, but it's a survey of more than 2,000 people. It shows 62% of respondents believe the transition of renewables will increase their power bills as energy companies fund upgrades to wires and new storage facilities, something we've talked about for a long period of time. 36% believe there is either no need for Australia to move to 100% renewables, or a full transition will be impossible to achieve. Linda, obviously, you'd be on track with the need for it. You're somebody who's declared climate emergencies, all the rest of it. But we are now starting to see the tension between local communities and these projects, the demands of people who are very active on social media, but they, in the same way they don't want a new block of units in their street, they certainly don't want a windmill in their local doggy park. What are your thoughts on this?
Look, it is really important that when communities are experiencing an infrastructure transmission, they're getting the wind farms up in their community, or they're getting the new grid lines put in, that there's some local benefit. And we know, when local governments approve development in their local communities, they ask for a contribution from the proponents so that communities can see that benefit. We've been advocating on behalf of councils and communities to this federal government to ensure that in the same way these big power companies leave a contribution for communities, and they also do this in a way that is not necessarily the best for the energy company but the best for the community. I've certainly heard communities saying this is cutting up the middle of my precious farming land, or this is the power lines are sagging too low in the heat, we can't get the tractor underneath. So I hear that, and we're advocating very hard to ensure that local governments have more of a role. I know you've got to go to James, but just Minister Bowen is off to COP this week. We want to see Australia sign up to the CHAMP pledge. This is cities all around the world playing a bigger part in the clean energy transition. We think if local governments and cities can play a bigger role in Australia's transition, a lot of these community voices will get a stronger ability to get better outcomes in the energy transition.
No, completely. I wasn't trying to hurry you up. I completely agree that if this infrastructure is on its way, and we can have conversations about whether it's needed, how much, and the consequence on bills, then it's not just a scenario of them turning around and saying, oh, we'll throw a couple of dollars for a skate park. It's got to be something serious that is the trade-off for the change in these communities. But James, on the price front, you and I know the penny dropped a long time ago where, despite the fact that we've been told by anyone who's pro this stuff, oh, well, wind and solar's cheaper. Yeah, it might be after it's built, but you have to build it. And I have said for 10 years, I don't care if it is the better mousetrap, but can somebody please be honest that it's an expensive mousetrap to build? And I'm pleased to say a majority of people by this mob, more than 2,000 people, agree with that rather common sense view, I would have thought.
Well, Linda might use the word contribution, but I've got a bloke that walks past here with his dog every couple of weeks and leaves a contribution in my front lawn. I don't appreciate it. And I don't appreciate these solar panels taking over prime agricultural land, and I certainly don't appreciate the hills around my suburbs here being taken over by wind turbines. Look, there's very few stupid people in this world, let alone this country. So we've got about a third of the people that think that power prices won't go up. Let me just say, those people are ignorant. They're not stupid, they're ignorant. Because when we're putting in, Labor admit to 10,000 extra kilometres of power lines. The media will say there's somewhere around 27,000 kilometres worth of extra power lines. They've got to go somewhere. They've actually got to go through people's properties. And I can be sure to tell you I wouldn't want it through my farm if I had one. Paul, these morons in Queensland just gave me a $275 rebate on my power bill. I don't need it. I'm the last person that needs it. I've got a good income. I don't need it. I've got solar. You know what I got? I got a credit. I've got a $0 balance. In fact, I've got a credit on my power bill because they gave me $275. What we're doing is we're paying multinational companies through federal government funding to subsidise them to put in these renewables. And then, of course, we're paying it on the other end as consumers. Sorry, stop with the subsidies. Give pensioners, give those people on low incomes, give them solar on their rooftops so that they don't have to pay, because it certainly doesn't benefit me. Clive Palmer got the same $275 rebate on his power bill. He doesn't need it. I don't need it. Give it to the people that really genuinely need it, and stop giving it to the multinationals across the country, across the globe, really.
Good point, my friend.